Hello and welcome to the Rioho Wellness Podcast. This is Margit Jefferson and I am here with Andrei Gospodarczyk, the founder of Rioho. The vision behind Rioho Wellness is to create a tipping point in wellness worldwide. And this podcast will contribute towards that. In each episode, we explore different health issues that present as case studies in Andrei's practice. They range from small, easily managed ailments to serious and complex illnesses. We explore body parts and how they respond to nutrition and environment, and we work on inspiring people to change their life for good through an everyday wellness focus. Rioho is a wellness modality that is unique because it focuses on healing and wellness through basic food and exercises that maneuver the body back to a state of balanced health. People literally jump out of their skin with energy and vitality when they follow Rioho. And it's an incredible turnaround for many who have had low energy for years through to people who have had complex health issues that don't seem to budge. The podcast is an interview format and ranges from 20 to 60 minutes. And if you'd like more of an introduction on Andrei, please see the 3-minute introduction in the first podcast on the homepage. And at the end, I'll be here to give you a little bit more information. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. So this episode is part of the Liquid series and is on coffee and tea. Coffee is definitely one of the liquids that people in everyday life absolutely love and rely on and to some extent probably addicted to. And I wonder if you can elaborate on why you think that coffee is so toxic and what people really need to understand about the damage that this liquid can cause.
We as human beings, the lovely thing is that we're very adaptable as human beings, and stress is just a normal function. It's something that we have within us to save our lives and to get us out of danger and allow us to keep running past the normal state of our capacity to keep running. So, in other words, the body can put us into a state of what we call stress, so that you can keep going for longer than is normal because there's a wild animal chasing you, or there's a bushfire, or whatever. I mean, it's an obvious statement, but that stress state now can be maintained for days, months, years even. And then we artificially induce this stress state with things like attitudes and fear and anxiety. Wake up in the morning and say, I don't want to get up. But then we go through the mental process of, if I don't get up, then this will happen and that will happen and that will happen. Oh my God, I'm stressed now. Okay, I'm off. And that stress is their motivating force. The fear and anxiety is the thing getting you through the day. And deeply underneath, you're incredibly tired, feeling very uncomfortable. So the important thing for us is to understand that stress is a normal state, and we can falsify it. And what's popular now is things like coffee. Caffeine in tea is strong also, green tea. And things like cocaine is just a stronger version of coffee, and we can manufacture these stress states mentally, like I was saying, just from an attitude and a feeling where we are maybe having a mortgage stress, maybe we're having a state where feeling the pressure of trying to find the money every month for our mortgage, and that state of stress, we fight against it, but it wears us down because it's not normal to maintain stress for a long time. It gets us, and we can't sleep eventually. And of course, coffee and tea and things like this create this lack of deep sleep. People find now that they're not sleeping well. This is another thing that's very big in our modern society now, is everyone knows now that very few people actually sleep deeply and well. They're very light sleepers now because there's this constant stress state. Our necks are too tight, our shoulders are too tight, adrenal issues resulting in this exhaustion that is happening because of high levels of stress. And these chemicals that are very popular in our world are maintaining our stress state. So it's a very simple thing to say from my side that people are doing things that are making them sick and tired and exhausted, overeating, eating badly, and then they're having drugs to maintain their stress state. These drugs are supporting them in a stress state and nurturing their stress state. They're nurturing their anxiety, nurturing their tight necks and shoulders because they need that kind of fear and panic in their lives just to get through the day. It's all just hysterical. We're trying far too hard. The Koreans are a very good example of this modern success story, if you want to call it that. And they say faster, faster is everything. That's all that matters is faster, faster. And so they've come a long way in a very short time. But the suicide rate is astronomical in Korea now. And I mean, this is, maybe in Australia and America, in England and France, they're questioning these sorts of things, but we're still living that lifestyle.
So interesting, because I have quite a few friends who would love to kick the habit but don't understand the implications, and so they cut back on their coffee, and they realise that having 3 double shots a day is probably a little bit excessive, so they cut back and they have 2 double shots or 1 double shot a day. But the interesting thing, and what I was going to ask you about, is this addictive quality of coffee, because I know these people get up in the morning and they're cranky until they have their first coffee, and then they're not cranky after that. So
well, they're cranky underneath. It's what I was saying. They're very, very tired. They're very reluctant. They're very tired. They're very unwell. But the body has a capacity to cope with enormous amounts of stress and to maintain it for long periods of time, but at a great price. And so underneath the coffee is, as you say, very cranky, very tired, irritable. And then, of course, the coffee creates its own problem on top, and you get massive headaches when you stop having it. And that's a great fear for some people who have stopped having coffee in the past, is you have horrendous headaches because it's a nasty little bugger of a drug.
That's exactly what happened to me when I was drinking coffee 20 years ago, and I stopped drinking it, and massive headaches, and if I had half a cup of coffee after that, I would get diarrhea. So
sure, your body said, "You beauty, get out straight away. I'm not going through that shit again." Right.
Yeah, that's right. So I haven't touched it since. On another topic, we should do a podcast on how to get over stress and anxiety, and targeting the really busy, hard-working executive who is highly toxic and fluidy and backaches and needs the coffee in the morning and don't believe there's anyone that can help them.
Yes, and it's all about compromise too, where as they get sicker, it's gradual from when they got married at 23 and now they're 40, and there's a compromise that is happening between them getting married in their early 20s and in their 40s as they've slowly gotten sicker, as their stresses have increased. They should have been decreasing, but they've increased. And the compromises in the relationship is 90% of it is the poor health and the mental, emotional, physical fatigue and problems that are developing from slowly getting sicker. And it's such a quick, easy thing to get well again. It only takes a little while, not overnight. You will feel better in a few days, but it's not overnight. It's a matter of maybe 6 months or a year. But I think that the compromises in the relationship that people are putting up with is a really big problem, and it's all based on this high stress state, and that's just again a reflection of their poor health.
Couldn't agree more, and therein lies the flow-on effects to our beautiful little souls and little people in these families who end up suffering.
Yeah, But they're being misled too, and that's the thing. They're being told.
Yeah, and we say this with love and awareness.
Yeah, yeah. I look at the packets of food and medicines and in natural therapies, and it's cordyceps and which is a Tibetan fungus, and spirulina and all these things. And on the packet it says instant wonderful health, and you'll be superhuman, and all you need is more antioxidants. It doesn't solve anything. It's just another form of stimulation. In fact, it can be harmful in that it's covering up your real issues, like the coffee does, and that's the whole point of all of that. So they're being misled, they're being lied to a lot of the time, and it's not being lied to because the person wants to lie to you. It's just that they don't even know that they don't know. The therapists, the healers, the health professionals, they're doing their best 90% of the time, and they're trying very hard to help you, and they're giving you advice, but it's really the wrong advice, and it's just creating more problems. It's only patching up your symptoms, which allows you to actually get sicker. But there's really simple answers out there, and I hope to be able to present more and more of them.
I think that's really good on the coffee. People link tea very closely to coffee in the sense that it's a hot drink and there's caffeine in it. So how is tea different to coffee? Is it different to coffee? And what do you think about tea as a liquid?
There's different kinds of teas, and they've always been used as remedies in many ways traditionally. Now they're used as a stimulant a lot of the time. I know that the vast majority of us have very hot tea because it's the heat hitting the stomach that gives the stomach a false sense of strength, and it's just the heat that they're after. A lot of people have the tea, not so that they have the tea, but to have the biscuit with it, or the milk and the sugar that's in the tea. So there's that sort of thing. It all depends on what your particular need is, but in a general sense, there is caffeine in tea, of course. There is different teas that have a different effect. Some of them are very good for certain conditions. So there's mild teas like chamomile and rosehip and all the rest of it that I call the little old lady teas, which are very good for rheumatoid arthritis and or different kinds of conditions. They're cleansing and healing. But the general sort of tea that people are having, the black tea, it's a little bit of a worry. The first thing is to say that a lot of these teas have very toxic, very cheap, nasty colorants and flavorings in them, and they should be avoided. The cheap teas are not really tea. And if you can find a shop that's going to sell you good quality teas, that's important. That's the first step. On the other hand, having too much of even good things is not good. So normal tea has got caffeine in it. Make sure you're getting a good quality one, and try not to have it too hot, and be wary of the fact that maybe you're using it as a caffeine supplement, and it's creating stress. People who are constantly putting the kettle on should be thinking that maybe they're having too much, and thinking about why they're having so much caffeine and having hot drinks all the time. Just keep it in mind, and then look for the causes, because it's not the tea that is the problem, even though it's causing problems, because we need our stomachs a little bit empty sometimes, and that constant cup of tea is going to create problems. Maybe it won't kill you, but it certainly makes your life less energetic and less healthy and less vital and less wonderful than it should be. And we should also bear in mind all the time, just thinking now, what's causing this constant craving? Am I just using it as a distraction? And am I overeating? Am I eating too much salty food? And look at your diet and looking at your life. There's good teas too, which don't allow you to overdrink them. Cookie cha, bancha, these are good teas. Dandelion root coffee. These are teas and drinks that you have a half a cup and you can't drink more of it because they don't create a need within you. They're just working as a normal type of healthy source of food. It's they work very well, even better than just straight water. You can't overdrink these. It's difficult to overdrink them, let's say. Cold water with ice in it, we're drinking the ice. Very hot teas, a lot of the time we're drinking the heat because it works as a stimulant for us, and it gets us through the day. But there are some healthy drinks like bancha and cookie cha that do reduce your amount of liquids. Most of the teas in the market are toxic. Try to find healthy organic source tea. It's well worth it. The flavour is so much better, and then you don't drink as much.
So herbal teas are a good replacement, but I have heard you say previously that there are some herbal teas that should be avoided that are commonly available. Can you just talk us through that?
Okay, so there's a whole lot of herbal teas passed down to us from just recent understandings and just ideas from the naturopathic circles. Things like peppermint and chamomile and rosehip and a lot of the fruit teas, which work for certain conditions, and they're actually quite strong. They do make an impact, and they do heal, and they are helpful, and they are not harmful. And even if they're not healing something, they're not harmful for certain conditions and certain types of age groups. And I don't recommend most of those kind of floral teas for the average person, mainly because of they have a very strong dispersing effect, and they do work as a medicine. In fact, they were developed as medicines initially, and we have to keep that in mind. There are some teas that are really, really good, very healthy. Things like bancha and cookie cha and moo tea and there's lots of them out there, and we should all explore them. But those very floral teas that are readily available for people's particular conditions, and it's not something I generally recommend to the average person, but and it makes it difficult hearing people like me speak because I don't go on averages, and it always comes back to you have to figure out what suits you. There's certain rules you follow, which is, try to have this sort of food, grains and beans and vegetables, and try to avoid these sorts of things, but there's always exceptions, and there's always variance within everything, because it's not going on taking an average from, 1 million people and saying we should all do this. You have to find what suits you, because we're all very, very different. And so if you are a person with rheumatoid arthritis, these teas are magical. They actually work and do tend to clear up the condition. And if you add abstaining from animal products, you'll have a wonderful curative process. On the other hand, having these teas when you're 20 and maybe a little bit anemic is going to make you really sick. So if you're a vegetarian and having herbal teas, it's going to make you tired and really washed out. Your iron levels are going to drop. They work very well, these herbal teas. They make a big impact. You're much better off with richer types of teas and things like dandelion coffees and all the rest of it. And if you're not sure, just stick to water for a while and then start having little tastes of different things and see what makes you tired, see what makes you energetic. It's the best thing is to always have a little break. spend a few days recovering, eat simply and well, just stick to water, and then start trying different things.
Okay. So chamomile tea before bedtime.
If you need that, yeah, sure, because of its floral nature, like I was saying, it makes you overly relaxed. But as long as it's not causing harm to you, if you're not an anemic person, if you're not overly tired every day, that's great. Maybe the chamomile tea, though, is contributing to your fatigue, and you're much better off having something like bancha or shiitake mushrooms, or there's a million alternatives. But yeah, maybe it's helping you sleep, or you're just having it out of habit. Who knows? Yeah.
Thanks, Andre. That was amazing information on coffee and tea, and forms part of the Liquid series of episodes. Any listeners who would like to learn more about Andre's work or Ryoho can connect and follow on Instagram and LinkedIn using the address of Ryoho Wellness. We spell Ryoho Ryoho and then add wellness on the end, obviously. Episode notes will be loaded up and available at ryohowellness.com, which is the master website. And just a few more things before you take off. Number 1, do you have a health issue or question you would like explored in one of our podcasts? Please submit it to us at the website where there is a contact page, ryohowellness.com website. Number 2, would you enjoy being notified by very short email every time we do something on Ryoho Wellness? This includes notification of our up-and-coming wellness podcasts and other things towards our tipping point. If you want to receive that, go to ryohowellness.com and drop in your email address and you'll get the very next one. And we hope you really enjoy it. Thanks everyone for listening, and thank you, Andre, for another fantastic episode. See you next time.